It's all yours now. Let's hear you.
Very much, Cyril. It was a matter of months at first. It became weeks and then days. It is now down to mere hours, the hours of decisions for the democratic sun to shine once again in the Sunshine State. Ondo State is the second governorship election in the COVID-19 era in Nigeria. The protocols are there to orchestrate a well-known date to decision. Compliance is key, and more importantly for the candidate and the electorate, there is the sacred dominion of the thumb on the ballot sheet. So the table is set, the menu is known. Who leaves the feast with jubilation is what we will know at the tail of this weekend. Welcome to Akure, the capital and cosmopolitan nerve of Ondo State. It is the eve of Decision Day, a day with destiny when Ondo State indigenes, visitors and friends have their collective eyes on the verdict as it is picked out of the ballot box. It is the box which has the political destination of the state for the next 4 years, and in the next 24 to 48 hours, the people will determine what is to be or not to be. In the studio with me, I have Assistant Superintendent of Police, ASP T. Leo Ikoro. Thank you for joining us from the Ondo State Police Command.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Dr. Gbenga Abimbola. He is a public affairs analyst. Of course, he's also of the mass communication department of the Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba, here in Ondo State. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Gentlemen, your opening salvo. Just 24 hours to decision day. Let me start from the well-kitted police officer here. Area count.
Yes, we've done all we need to do. We're just waiting for the result.
And from the public affairs analyst, you've gone around town. I heard you earlier in the day. How is the mood in town?
Yes, everybody is in high spirits, and we are waiting for the polling units or the polling centers to open.
All right, I have two men in the house to sample their opinions, but my colleague Namdi Odipo from another location will be giving us a slightly larger sampling frame of the mood in town. And Namdi, you have been there waiting and enjoying the hospitality of Akure people. I know you have enjoyed some pounded yam since you got here, but this time ask a few questions from the people you have in that mini town hall, should I call it pavilion, and then let's hear your bit.
Thank you very much. Yes, well, I've had a few wraps of pounded yam, very true, and it's been quite nice. Akure has been warm. The people have been welcoming. It's quite a warm and calm atmosphere here in Akure, parts of the city that I have visited in the last couple of days. I mean, leading up to today, the eve of the elections. I mean, it's been generally calm and peaceful everywhere. You couldn't have said it any better, Fisayo. I mean, the table is now set. Indeed, it's the eve of election day. We have waited. First, it was months. Now it's just a matter of hours, and then we would have the D-Day on us. It is here, as a matter of fact. And very well, like you already captured and alluded to, I have a small sample size of electorate cutting across different strata of the population. I have the aged here, about two of them. I have the relatively elderly people in their mid and late 40s, and I also have some members who fall into the youth population as well. I'm going to do a quick sampling just to get an idea of where they stand or what their hopes and aspirations are in terms of this election come tomorrow. So I'm going to just turn, like I said, it's a small sample size of just about 13 of them, and we've done well to make it cut across different strata of the population. I'll just move a bit away from the camera to give you a sense of what I'm talking about. This is my sample size, and then I would ask a simple question in English, and I'll crave your indulgence as well to speak sometimes in Yoruba. I have a couple of respondents here who would like to also speak in Yoruba language as well. But then I'll begin from English. I want to thank you all for waiting patiently. It's been quite a long wait. We appreciate you. We want to thank you for staying with us. Very quickly, let me just ask you, how many of you participated in the last election in 2016? Please, can you indicate by just raising your hands? Thank you very much. Can you drop your hands? How many of you are willing and ready to participate in tomorrow's exercise? Can you indicate by raising your hands? Okay, that it looks like everyone here, Fisayo, is ready for tomorrow's exercise. I noticed that you did not raise your hands. Okay. Sorry, did you raise your hand for 2016? A couple of, madam, was that you? Okay, Papa, you also participated in 2016? Oh, well, how many of you participated in the last election again? Can I quickly take that? Okay, you did not participate in the 2016 election, but you're ready to participate now. Okay, I'm going to come to you. I understand you'd like to speak in Yoruba. Okay, mo fẹ́ kí ẹ sọ fún wa why participate in the elections in 2016 and why you're willing to participate in the elections this time. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ẹ sọ fún wa.
Ní 2016 ìdí tí mi fi participate ni pé mo ní àìsàn díẹ̀ ńgbà yẹn, ara mi ò dá, so kò jẹ́ n lè jáde lọ láti lọ dìbò ní last election tó kọjá. But báyìí mo fẹ́ lọ dìbò ní ọ̀la nítorí pé mo ní lọ́kàn wípé Ọlọ́run á fi ẹni tó yẹ kó wà ńbẹ̀ á fi sí ipò náà tí ó dẹ̀ mọ́ mi nínú láti lọ dìbò ní ọ̀la.
Thank you very much. So, Fisao, very quickly, I know you understand that, but for the benefit of those who do not understand the Yoruba language, she couldn't participate in the 2016 election because she was down with some sort of ailment at the time, but now she is in good health and she is willing to participate in the exercise. She also went further to say that she's very hopeful and optimistic that God would ordain the right leader to take charge of the state after this election. I'll just go to the elderly respondent that I have here, who is going to speak to us in English language. Daddy Ejo, Tabamba, if you're talking to us, please, I would like for you to stare straight into the camera and tell us why you're willing to participate in the exercise come tomorrow.
Thank you very much. It's a constitutional provision, essentially to enjoy the dividend of democracy in all areas of ramification: the healthcare delivery, agriculture, education, infrastructure, industrialization, and employment, and so forth and so forth.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the lady behind him, and then I will just ask you, what are you looking for in whoever emerges as the next governor of the state? What are your targets, or rather, what standards are you setting for whoever emerges?
I think my expectations are a good governor that is going to care for the masses, that is going to put the care of masses in mind, that is going to take care of the masses as in, let's say 80%. That's what we pray for.
Well, Fisayo, it's a known fact that the people of Ondo State are quite politically active. Not just that, they are also participatory as well. I mean, they just don't talk politics, they actually engage and practice politics. And this is shown, or this has been demonstrated in the last two elections from 2012 to 2016. We're hoping that plays out also in tomorrow's election. We're hoping for a larger turnout. And I'm going to just go further down the line and speak to someone who falls within the youth bracket of this my small sample size. Hello, sorry, can you very quickly tell me, just give us an idea and tell Nigerians what you expect of a government, or whoever emerges as a governor come tomorrow. Please, can you just look at the camera while you speak?
Okay, I look forward to a government that we remember we youth by providing employment for the youth, and even take the government to the people of the downtrodden by deliver the dividends of democracy to all without sentiment. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'm going to go to the women now and see if I can get some of them to tell us what they also expect of government. Yes, Yoba.
Nípa election tó ń bọ̀ tó máa wáyé ní ọ̀la, ohun tí mo fẹ́ ni nǹkan tá à ń fẹ́ ni wípé kí Ọlọ́run kó yan adarí rere fún wa, èyí tí yóò ṣe nǹkan tí àwọn èèyàn ń fẹ́, tí yóò mọ ibi tí bàtà ti ń ta àwọn èèyàn lẹ́sẹ̀, gbogbo nǹkan táwọn èèyàn ń fọkàn sí ní rere tí yóò bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń ṣe fún wa. Mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé Ọlọ́run máa yan adarí rere tó máa gbọ́ ti àwa mẹ̀kúnnù lágbára Ọlọ́run.
All right, great. I'm going to just hold on a bit. I understand that Cyril in Abuja perhaps wants to also speak to my respondents here. Cyril?
Right. Okay. Nnamdi, we heard you loud and clear, and for all those you spoke with, and you've also demonstrated some bit of proficiency in using the Yoruba language and translating to some of us who can speak a word of the language. But it's okay. What most of the people here on this side of it would like to know from you is, beyond the small segment that you've spoken to, what's the feeling like in Akure as people expect to go out to the polls tomorrow?
Well, Cyril, and like we did indicate at the beginning, this is a sample size. And I mean, use this as an example of what is obtainable in the larger communities. You can notice, you would notice how calm my sample size here is and how collected and ready they are. The same goes for, I mean, when you go to different parts of the metropolis, at least the parts that I've been to, we're also getting reports from outside of the city center, from other local governments as well. It's peaceful. Yes, indeed, there have been pockets of incidents in some places, not substantially enough to cause any alarm or raise any alarm, but substantially it has been calm, and we see that calmness as an harbinger of what's to come, Cyril.
Just thing. Well, in keeping with the regulations, all forms of campaigning stopped. No one can run out there and campaign anything. So, but you have been in Ondo State for a few days now. How have the contestants conducted themselves?
Well, we do know that since the signing of the peace pact, it's been relatively calm. Well, they had, after the signing of the peace pact, they had just a couple of hours, they had 2 days in between, or a day actually, as a matter of fact, to consolidate on their campaigns. We went round, we noticed how the campaigns climaxed yesterday. The PDP had their grand rally yesterday, the APC had theirs a couple of days leading to that of the PDP. Well, they are open. I do not speak for any of the parties now. I just made allusions to the two major parties. Of course, there are other candidates of other parties as well participating in the elections. I do know that most of them, if not all of them, will be open, that their messages have permeated the electorate. They will be open that the electorate has taken a point or two from whatever they are selling, and they will be open to get some support tomorrow from the vote, Cyril.
You're out there on the field, and Fisayo is in the studio. I'm sure that between the two of you, we'll get the best out of the coverage, especially when the elections kick off proper tomorrow. But if we might bring Fisayo into this conversation at this point in time. You are on ground, and you've seen that all the agencies that should be working for the success of this election are right on ground. And the general belief is that in Edo, Inec raised the bar, set a new standard. And so you think everyone expects Inec to go beyond what they did in Edo and make Ondo a model, a new model.
I believe that should be the trajectory, going up and consolidating on what has been achieved a fortnight ago. Like we alluded to, we have at least one of the agencies here which is very important in ensuring free, fair, credible elections is security, and the ASP of Ondo Police Command is right here. But before we go into the full discussions, let me just allow Nnamdi to round off there. Nnamdi has a slight edge. I don't understand too much of Igbo, but he seems to have picked all the, even some Akure dialects, even in a few short days. Nnamdi, just finish with your interaction, and then we'll proceed with the other reports we have.
By asking someone else, a lady, to just tell us in English, you know, how ready she is for tomorrow's exercise. I'll do that, and then I'll quickly just hand over back to you. Please, would you just tell us how set you are for the exercise?
Yes, we are set to go out tomorrow and vote for a candidate of our choice. We are going to elect a leader who is going to lead us for the next 4 years, a leader who can give us good infrastructural development, who can give us quality education in Ondo State, and who as well know the yearnings and the aspirations of the elderly, what they really need in Ondo State. So we're set and prepared. All we just want is peace. We want peace in Ondo State. We want the electoral umpire, which is Inec, to conduct a peaceful election. Then we want the police to ensure the security of lives and property of people of Ondo State are guaranteed, so that people will not be scared of voting tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Fisayo, that's about it. I would just, I mean, it's established, the people are ready, the stakeholders are ready for the exercise, the police is on ground, Inec is on ground. Unfortunately, I would have loved to take up some other issues with my sample size here, but for lack of time, I will just hand over to you and let you continue with the discussions in the studio, Fisayo. Siri as well, too, in Abuja.
Very much, Nnamdi. I want to assure you with the display of English, Pidgin, Yoruba, and Akure dialect, you are indeed a stakeholder. Now, moving on, let's look at some preparations, just like my colleague in Abuja said, Cyril Stoba was talking about the synergy amongst agencies here. Let's take a few reports, but we'll start with the last-minute preparation by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Let's take that, and then we'll come back to the studio.
It is a beehive of activities here at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, here in Akure, the Ondo State capital. And it is expected because this is the eve of the much-awaited governorship election in the state. The commission says it is not only committed to conducting a peaceful election, but a peaceful, acceptable, and credible one at that. And the commission has distributed all the sensitive materials to the 18 local government areas of the state for onward distribution to the RAC. And I have here with me the Administrative Secretary of INEC, Mr. James Bukwola, who will be telling us, some of the things that INEC has also done to ensure that we have each free election come Saturday.
We have enough security personnel on ground to make sure that the exercise is violence-free. We are told, and we've been able to confirm it, that more than 30,000 security personnel will officiate in tomorrow's election. So by and large, all hands on deck, because we've even deployed our veterans to the field to monitor what is actually happening. All the card readers, all the zippers, and other items like you have said, sensitive materials, all of them have been moved down to the local government level.
And how do you intend to monitor that these sensitive materials arrive safely at their designated destination?
All materials that leave INEC offices are always escorted by security men. And then we also have enough monitors. I mean, we have, like I've said, we have our veterans. The resident, about 6 resident electoral commissioners from other states have been deployed to Ondo State to monitor the process in 3 local government areas each. We also have 3 of our national commissioners that are also on ground to make sure that things go well.
And that's the situation from here, and I hope to keep you posted as events unfold as far as this governorship election is concerned. I am Olubukola Aduwo.
Thank you, Buki Aduwo there. And still talking about preparation, just about a few hours to the close of work yesterday, distribution was made in terms of sensitive materials across the 18 local government areas of Ondo State from the CBN state headquarters here in Akure. Let's take that report and then see exactly what INEC has been able to do.
As early as 8 o'clock this morning, the supervising presiding officers of the 11 registration area centers for the election in Akure South were at the Akure South Government Inec office along Ondo Road in preparation for Saturday's election. While some officers were collecting the materials that will be needed for the election, others were also seen examining the effectiveness of the materials, particularly the card readers.
I collected the unnecessary materials, sensitive and unnecessary materials. We are moving the material to the rack now. We are going to give it to the presiding officer so that they can prepare for tomorrow's balloting.
There's no problem. As far as this local government is concerned, everything is intact, both sensitive and non-sensitive material.
It is expected that the materials will be distributed to the different polling units very early on Saturday for the election in Akure. Toyin Batire, NTA News.
All right, that is the situation report. I will go to the security report soon, but my colleague Olajide Bello is in the center of town at the moment, trying to almost physically capture the mood. If you can touch the mood, Jide says it's palpable. You know, Jide, give us a sense of what is happening from city center, and then, of course, we can begin to have an idea of exactly what you're talking about. Jide, it's over to you.
Much, Fisaya. Actually, a couple of minutes ago, I was at Oba Adeshida Road, which is like the heart of town. And the security presence in Akure now is kind of watertight, as policemen and other security agencies are stationed in strategic positions, and they are also the ones that are on patrol. And the markets too are kind of busy, with people making last-minute purchases as against tomorrow. And that is what we have at the city center. But now I'm at Adeboale along Ondo Road. The buyers and sellers are still here and still making purchases also. But I believe very soon everywhere is going to be empty.
Town. To the interland, to their village to be a part of this exercise, or is it likely to be a stock up and stay at home situation?
In the early hours of today, I visited Elisha Garage, and
this broadcast, if we can still get back to you, we will come to you. Giving us a sense of what is happening in town. And he said between when he spoke to us earlier in the day and now, there's a huge movement of security personnel in town, perhaps to also make sure that they are visible for even if there are any troublemakers, if there are any, ahead of the election.
We are not anticipating any the General Police has put it on record that if it did happen well in Ondo State, we should have it better than what happened in Ondo State. And every police officer sent to this place for now is ready decisively to ensure that the election becomes credible at every point in time.
The state government declared today work-free. Has that helped in terms of movement of people to the hinterland and then preparing for the weekend?
Yes, it does. It only amplified what people were doing. Let me tell us that even some people have started moving, especially those who are not government workers or essential services. They started moving from Wednesday, Thursday, and even this morning. But when the declaration, became public yesterday afternoon that today is work-free day, so it just aided them because people really prepared. They are well motivated or they are in high spirits. When I say they are well motivated, that is, they have motivated themselves that they are coming out to come and vote. So those who registered in their communities, who are based in the cities, they have moved. even up to this evening, people are still moving. So I want to believe that the turnout is going to be impressive. We are going to have a better turnout than what we had 4 years ago. I just want to believe.
All right, still talking situation report. Let's take this situation report in terms of police preparedness ahead of tomorrow's election.
For the police, adequate manpower and logistics arrangements have been concluded to ensure that the environment of policing centers across the state is violence-free for the safety of the electorate and Inec officials during and after the election. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, while addressing men and officers of the Ondo State Police Command, announced the deployment of 33,783 police personnel, which include 30,933 conventional police personnel and 2,850 special police units.
You must not allow yourself to be used by any politician to support him or her during the election, because if you are caught, you may lose your job and the politician doesn't care. Will you allow yourself to be used? So the standard has been set already by Ondo police. So we believe Ondo police will surpass what Ondo police did.
On the synergy between the police and other sister security agencies for a hitch-free election on Saturday, the IGP said additional 3,500 officers have also been deployed for greater effectiveness.
So what we expect is that every participant must play his role for the election to be successful. What we expect from the politicians is to make sure that on the election day, they don't campaign. On the election day, they don't carry policemen with them from one polling unit to another. On the election day, they don't move from one polling unit to another. And on the election day, they don't buy votes. And on the election day, they don't steal ballot boxes. This is what we expect from them.
Also, the Ondo State Police Commissioner Bolaji Salami, while confirming the deployment of security personnel, sent warning signals to officers and men to be thorough and professional while discharging their duties on Saturday.
Also, all flash and perceived vulnerable points in the state have been identified, both on land and on the coastal areas. We also have adequate security arrangements on the ground to match up with any possible security breach in all these areas.
The team is being led by Deputy Inspector General of Police Adeleye Oyebade, who addressed a world press conference for effective protection of lives and property. In Akure, Doris Ulumoko, NTA News.
Just like we say in police language, area calm. But we have to talk about synergies. Apart from police, we also have sister agencies who are also helping. Just earlier in the day, we heard the IGP placing restriction of movement order ahead of tomorrow's election. How are you synergizing with other sister agencies providing security for this exercise?
I think the synergy that we have with other security agencies is stronger than any that I've ever seen in the country. Maybe because everyone's looking forward to seeing what Ondo State will produce. Because even the DSS that would not likely come out in the daytime, and this process, this election, they're out with us. Just a few days back, and even this morning, we had the show of force, the show of strength. What that means is giving our strength together for one purpose, and the purpose is to ensure strict compliance with what the election says.
All right, let's bring in Dr. Abimbola. The police physically and even in terms of the messaging have showed that they are ready for this exercise. Yes. In terms of what to expect, in terms of the geography of the state, we have mountainous areas, we have riverine areas, we have flat plains. Does that have any impact on logistics, for instance?
Yes, definitely it does. But I think Inec is on top of the situation. Inec has gone ahead by making sure that the terrain is taking cognizance of. How do I mean? In Ondo State, we have the lowlands, we have the plain lands, we have the mountainous areas, and we have the riverine areas. And recall that Ondo State has the largest coastal land in Nigeria, so the stretch. So INEC had gone ahead to make sure that some of these materials have moved in advance. And I want to believe that overnight, from the local government headquarters to ROAs, they will have moved ahead. For security, you could see that the security, we must give kudos to security, from the police to the military and to paramilitary and all. They have really demonstrated professionalism. They are moving about. I mean, even the show of strength that they say they are going to demonstrate, they have not intimidated the citizens. They've not intimidated the residents. So they've gone about. I want to believe that with the terrain, INEC should also step up its game to make sure that the zeal and the speed by which they distribute materials, they should also replicate it in getting feedback, retrieving them and getting results, because once results are delayed, then people will be agitated. So I want to believe that this is a message to INEC that they should go ahead to use the same method and mechanism they use to distribute and get materials down to the hinterlands, to also use it to retrieve.
Meanwhile, for still talking in terms of adequate security and also logistics, for the Ondo State Governorship election this Saturday, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has deployed a total of 7,079 personnel drawn from 8 states. Let's hear from the supervising officer for the exercise here in Ondo State.
To monitor and provide security for the governorship election in Ondo State, scheduled for tomorrow. And the number of men we have deployed 7,079 personnel. And this number stems from the fact that when we come for election, we don't take out our sights on our core mandate. That is the protection of critical national assets and infrastructure. And when we deploy to those areas as well.
All right, the NCDC also having their, PPEs and protective masks for this exercise. One of the things that came out during the Edo governorship election was the issue of, the protocols being observed to keep a pandemic in check. Is that also going concurrently in terms of the campaign with the campaign for the election? I'm addressing this, question to Dr. Binga Bimbola. Are we putting that also in mind?
Yes, we are putting it in mind, but unfortunately, during the campaigns, the protocols were not strictly followed. The whole world could see. But INEC is insisting that for elections, you must follow. That if you don't come with your nose mask, you cannot be allowed to enter the voting arena. So that one is also to help put in check the pandemic. And but some, except on events that are highly structured, like sensitization program where you bring people into a hall, or the debates that we organize. All the debates that we organize, we make sure that we follow the protocol. But campaign rallies, the protocols were hardly followed. But INEC is insisting that for you to come and vote tomorrow, you must be compliant. You must follow the protocol. And I think that is good for us.
Let's look at sister agencies, Mr. Tilio. In terms of other people who are also giving ancillary service and other services as far as this, exercise is concerned. Restriction of movement is there, but there are issues. We could have health issues and all that. In terms of, issues of ambulances, fire service, and all that, have you put all those things in the architecture surrounding this exercise beyond just policing? We have the aged, the elderly, we have the people with some form of physical challenge or the other who will be coming out to exercise their franchise, and there must be some form of opportunities for them perhaps to find relief if there is distress.
Everything that needs to be done, we've done that. We consider those that are physically challenged, we consider the elderly, and we do know that they will all come out, because this is a season that they need to free themselves, choosing someone they like. In terms of ambulance, if you were out with us on the show of strength, you would have seen a sample of what we had. The ambulances were there from the military, from the police, and then from the Federal Ministry of Health. I think that if there will be any election to be compared to what an election should look like, Ondo election will be a masterpiece, especially in terms of its security, because all that we had seen in Ondo, we've decided to double it here, and that's why you can see from the deployment of manpower that we have. It's so amazing that no state has ever had that kind of supply when it comes to election. 30-something just from the police, and then talk about other agencies. So you discover that this election is prepared, just like you said before.
And when you are talking about something, a lot of people will also ask about morale.
That is being taken care of. But you know what? We're not just looking at the election alone. We do understand that some miscreants may want to take advantage of this election. When people are going out, they will want to go in. And our duty is to protect lives and property. So we've known that if they all go out, people must protect their homes. That perhaps is the reason you have this massive deployment.
So that you don't go out and vote and the only property you have is the PVC. Let's take in a few things concerning this, election. Inec has been given a lot of kudos based on several, could we say, innovation in the past, election. And one is the technology interface, which has given some form of mapping for people who have keen interest in the election. There's also, to a reasonable extent, we've been able to see, appreciate how quickly collation was done. What else would you like to see as far as the level of preparedness in terms of then dispatches as well as orchestrating the event is concerned?
Yes, I think we must commend INEC. We are getting there, but we are not yet there, because the way we run elections in Nigeria, what happened in Edo, has told the whole world that we can do better. Before Edo, everything was done manually, the collation and all the rest. Everything was done manually, but now Edo, manual and technology were combined. I think that one has reduced drastically the maneuvering of politicians. And Inec chairman had assured us in Ondo State that they will replicate such here. But beyond that, I think Inec should work very fast on his personnel. That his personnel, there should be backup. That at every polling unit, there shouldn't be any excuse, whether of failure. That there should be sufficient backup, and that the security men should also be sufficiently briefed to make sure that their eyes, they are to protect the INEC personnel as well as INEC materials. Because you cannot be talking about protecting the materials alone and you leave the personnel to to become vulnerable. So these things will assist in getting results on time.
All right, you made allusion to the sheer size and the length of the state in terms of mountainous regions and flat plains, and of course a huge coastal line. Our reporter there at the coastal area, the Ondo and Elijah areas of the state, Doris Olumoko, filed this report. Doris.
Thank you very much, Fisayo. We are at the INEC local government headquarters in Igbokoda, Ilaje local government area of Ondo State. In Ilaje local government area of Ondo State, we have 271 polling units, and out of these 271 polling units, about 210 are located on water, while just 61 located on land. Now, this is why election coverage in this area is very critical because materials will be moved from this local government headquarters to all the polling units on water tonight. Now, I have here with me the electoral officer for Ilaje local government area who will give us an update in terms of distribution of both sensitive and non-sensitive electoral materials to the polling units across the local government. Mr. BME, now tell us what is the situation in terms of distribution of sensitive and non-sensitive materials in this local government?
So far as we are concerned, this local government area office of the commission, we have batched both non-sensitive and sensitive materials into various array bases. And we are now proceeding to our various racks for onward, particularly those that were located on riverine areas. They have been moving to the naval base where they will take off. The rest on land, they have been going, remaining only about 2 local government area to be moved, and they will soon be moved in a short time to this period. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And our observation also from this place today is that most of these electoral materials are accompanied by security operatives. From here, the materials are moving to the naval base, and from the naval base, they will be moved to all the polling units across the water, that is to the other side of Ilaje local government area. We are following this movement, and from here, we are moving to the naval base where we shall keep you updated in terms of distribution of electoral materials in Ilaje local government area of Ondo State, which is one of the riverine communities in Ondo State. From here, it's back to you, Fisayo, in the studio. I'm Doris Ulumoko.
I like the fact that you are following the electoral officers to that area, but I also need to tell you to get a life jacket because the terrain is coastal, the water is quite deep. Final words on this area, final words, what would you want to say quickly to residents as they go about their lawful duties tomorrow, exercising their franchise?
Go out and vote. Security is watertight. No need to fear, no violence. The idea of vote buying may not come. Because if anyone tries, of course, he risks arrest and perhaps prosecution immediately.
All right, we like this idea, we buy this idea very quickly, Doctor.
Yes, I want to appeal to Ondo residents that you could see that Inec is fully prepared for this election. Just one local government, over 200 units are on water, and yet Inec is battle ready to deploy and to be, through the naval base and security agents. So please, when you see area of security personnel tomorrow, don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. They are there to protect you and to protect your vote. So go out and vote your conscience, and behave responsibly.
All right, that's a bit from the Ondo Decide Studios here in Akure. Is back to Serious Toba and the panel in Abuja. Just to remind you, of course, that we continue tomorrow, and the Nigerian Television Authority right here deployed all its staff to show you that Africa's largest TV network will give every best of the Ondo elections with news, reviews, previews, and interviews.
Thank you very much, Fisayo Ogunfuyi in Akure. Of course, when the Ondo Decide Studios reopen tomorrow, we'll be checking in with Fisayo and the rest of the crew in Akure. But back here in Abuja, we still have analysts here, Professor Jibril Ibrahim, Nick Dazan of Inec, and Felicia Onibo, CEO of 100 Women Lobby Group. And just to remind our viewers here that you can interact with the NTA. We do have the hash Ondo Vote Watch 2020, and take advantage of that and interact with the NTA on this coverage. So we've listened to situational reports, and just we have a feel of what tomorrow will be like in Ondo State. But once again, we bring it back to Nick Dazang and say, yes, you're on ground, everything is set, and well, this time around, the disruptions that have, bedeviled other exercises have mercifully been at the barest minimum. The portal is already open, and so people can go. You talked about it earlier on.
Yes.
And these results that go in there are authentic, but then underscore the importance of results coming from the returning officer, because it's easy to say, well, it's Inec portal and the figures are right there, so we take it hook, line and sinker, and who else do we need to tell us? Right.
Well, the results being uploaded are PDF. What we want to do is to give interested citizens a sense of how the election took place, and also invest or imbue the process with transparency, and also to demystify or disabuse the minds of Nigerians that results of elections are being altered or manipulated in the course of collation. Everything you do in Inec is open except the very act of you are casting your vote in the cubicle. Right. But for the fact that we do them manually, perhaps the process, would have been shorter. But I can assure you that anyone who is determined to follow the process can do so from the polling unit level. From EC8 that is being uploaded is also filled into the form 60E, which is pasted at the polling unit. And each political party or candidate is entitled to an agent who represents him at the polling unit. And when the results are declared at the polling unit level and they are taken to the registration area level, that is at the ward level, he is also entitled to an agent who protects his interests at that level. And as you escalate to the local government collation center and then to the state collation center, the candidate is entitled to an agent who superintends the process on his behalf. So, and at each level, when the results are entered in and signed, the representative is given a copy. So by the time you tally all this, you have a sense of what has happened. And if there's anything, other than what is being declared, you can use all these documents to challenge the outcome in court. So we feel that bringing the Inec results portal is another additional transparency measure, because what we have observed is there is a lot of mistrust, between the citizens and the election management body, and there is the need on our part to consciously and continuously improve on transparency so that we confer integrity to it.
All right, thank you so much, Nick Dazang, Director, Voter Education and Publicity of the Independent National Electoral Commission. At this point in time, we'll say goodbye to you. Thank you for having come in here. I understand that you have so much to do. You have to rush off and get involved in everything just to ensure that things work out smoothly tomorrow, better than even Edo. So, Nick Dazang, thank you once more for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, we are staying back with Professor Jibril Ibrahim and Felicia Onibon. Let's come back to you, Prof. Yes, we've listened to Nick. The Inec has its portal, but this is without prejudice to what the law says about who can make a pronouncement of results. Otherwise, you'd say the figures have been posted, we see them, they are from Inec and all that. So underscore that for us, will you?
Well, the law is very clear. The results that are posted on the portal are the polling unit results, and as you are aware, there are more than 3,000 polling units. So those will be the totality of the results. But what the law spells out is that after the returning officer has announced the results at the polling unit, they then go to the ward level, where there's another collation officer that adds all the polling unit results in the ward. From the ward, it goes to the local government level. And from the local government level, it goes to the state level, where the local government results are collated. So for each of these, the expectation is, even if you know the results and you have seen them on the Inec portal, you have to wait for it to be added at the ward level, local government, and state level. And the importance of the portal is that now that you have the totality of the results in your hands, you can monitor these officials along the line to make sure they do not deviate from the authentic results that you have had the opportunity of viewing on the portal.
All right, so that's a fine innovation by Inec, and again, let's come to you. So, for those who have been observing the trend so far, and particularly with Ondo coming up tomorrow, how do we assess our march towards not just election coverage, but what people like to call the deepening of democracy?
Yeah. Actually, we also have the Women's Situation Room on in Ondo right now, in Akure. And, people have been deployed to go to different communities and different local government areas to check what the situation is. And what we've gotten so far shows that people are ready to go to the polls, but there is also some kind of fear that, there may be some kind of attack or crisis in certain spots, So what we have always asked for, which I think I'm seeing now, is people coming around to say, no, you just have to go. The security agencies that are on ground are not there to harass anyone, and that you should actually go out to vote. But what we haven't heard too much of is, people calling out on young people that they shouldn't take this as a business as usual period, when they will collect money from politicians to actually go there to cause some havoc. So that my colleagues from Akure had said, that there isn't enough of that kind of publicity, to let people know, young people know that this time around we actually have to have a peaceful exercise, so, and that's really very, very important, and there is still time for people to do that. The professor that was on air actually said something about go out, the security men that are there are not actually here to intimidate you. You just have to go to the polls, and there wouldn't be much of harassment.
Well, at some point in time, Prof, Nigerians should get used to the idea of going out to participate in elections without heavy security presence. But for now, this is the reality on ground, things we have to deal with. But so, at what point do we begin to say, yes, they are there to ensure that troublemakers don't start anything, but not to intimidate those who are there to do the business that brought them there?
I think the ambition really is that an election shouldn't operate like a state of emergency, where you have massive security, people are afraid, and there are all these stories circulating about possible violence. I think one of the important strategic decisions Inec has taken in this regard is to use technology and go into electronic voting. Because once you have electronic voting, it changes the nature of the elections itself. Because once you vote and it's captured by the machine, all other processes will be automatically done by the machine, and therefore it reduces, for example, currently there's always a lot of fear in collation centers. That thugs may come and break up the collation centers, steal ballot boxes, create havoc in the election process and in the collation process, and that has happened quite a lot in our electoral history. So I think this decision they've taken to go electronic will really reduce a lot of the problems around security, because it's not normal. I've observed elections in a lot of African countries. And for example, you don't ban vehicular traffic on election day in most countries, because somebody will go and vote, he votes and then proceeds to the office to continue with his work. So that is just another normal day in the life of a citizen. That's really where we should be at, but this is Nigeria, that's not where we are.
But that does increase the cost of holding elections. I know many times we talk about the cost of elections, and people just see it from the point of view of what Inec, the electoral body, spends and what the parties spend to put up candidates. They leave out the aspect of a shutdown of basically the shutdown for a whole day. Everything comes to a standstill, and there are huge losses incurred because elections are going on. So should elections continue to go along those lines?
It shouldn't, and it's not shut down for one day, it's shut down for 3 days. The first, a day after election, people are worried about what could happen when results starts coming in. So a lot of women particularly won't come out. They won't open their stores. They won't go out for anything. And that actually should stop. Just as we have heard here, election day shouldn't be a day when everybody will be frenzied, everyone will be hiding in their rooms and not wanting to go out, but go out, vote, and go about your normal duties. And I believe we'll get to that stage. And I actually commend Inec for that decision on electronic voting, because it has actually doused tension more than we could ever imagine. Because announcing results at the polling booth or polling station is one. That result getting to the final place, it's another. So now at least we are sure that whatever has been announced at that station is what you will see eventually. And I think that's really very good.
Okay. Let's project a little bit into the future. Now, people have assessed INEC based on Edu and what might come out of Ondo. But we're looking at, these are off-the-cycle elections. Now, we're looking at the greater picture where you have to deal with general elections. And would you think that this body is capable of replicating whatever successes are achieved in these off-cycle elections, at a much larger scale on general elections, for instance? And that's putting into account the massive deployment of resources, both human and material.
I think INEC has always said it is a learning organism, and that after each election, it does an analysis of the difficulties and challenges encountered and the way in which they were addressed. So at each election, there is an analysis that takes place, and they learn lessons which are then fed into the organization of the next election. And the fact of the matter is that INEC as an organization has been improving in terms of its efforts. I know there have been problems, but a lot of those problems are really from the politicians who come in to mess up the arrangements that have been made. Okay. And therefore, I feel the fact that the organization itself places so much emphasis on learning means that it will continue to progress.
Are we seeing a corresponding, development in the electorate, the people, those who would go out there? The body should do what it's meant to do, but what about the people themselves, the electorate, the key actors, the politicians? Are we seeing a corresponding learning and assimilation of this lesson?
From comments, social media comments and newspaper analysis of what happened in Edo State, you could see that there is some form of learning from, on the civil society part, on people's part, people making comment that this is really good. It means election in Nigeria is going to be free and fair, free of leadership influence, and which was really good. And I think, everybody is watching again to see how Ondo will play itself out.
All right. So, and we here at NTA are also watching, and we're bringing you everything as it unfolds. So at this point, we'd like to thank you very much, Felicia Onibon, CEO, 100 Women Lobby Group. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Right, and Professor Jibril Ibrahim, well, thank you. You're always regular here. We hope to see you tomorrow as well.
I'll be here with you tomorrow.
Right, thank you very much. And just to let you know, the studio will open again at 7 o'clock in the morning, tomorrow Saturday, when Ondo decides. NTA will be right there with you, and will capture everything and bring it to you as things progress. So studio will open at 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow Saturday. So until then, I'd like to thank you for being part of this broadcast. We'll be back and make it a date with us once again. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.